In an industry that's quick to say you can't,
we're here to say you can.
Helping musicians succeed,
No matter where they are.
Unsigned artists matter.
why isn't anyone talking about this stuff?
There must be a reason.
The Afton Podcast.
By musicians.
For musicians.
Welcome to the second episode of the Afton Podcast with your hosts Carl and Ryan. This week we're going to continue where we left off in our first episode with part 2 of our tips for selling tickets to your next show, whether that's an Afton show or otherwise. Because these tips don't just work with our shows, they basically work with every show you're going to play. This is important information because we've learned that no one talks about tickets.
And that's what I think is crazy, because it's probably one of the most key and most important aspects of your music career. Whether you're just starting out, whether you're a seasoned veteran, or whether you're a verifiable legend, ticket sales matter, and no one is really talking about that. So that's what we want to tackle, and that's why we're here. This is for you guys. We want to help you. We want to build that skill set, and you can grow your fan base in a great way selling tickets.
And that's basically whether you're booking your own shows, working with a booking agent or a promoter, gearing up for your next or even first Afton show. These are tips you can take along the way. But before we get into the new tips, let's do a quick recap of what we went over last time, which are basically, Ryan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, for sure. So if you haven't checked out our first episode, check it out. We had some really good tips. Number 1, friends and family. So basically just focusing on the people you have personal connection with, people that know you and like you already. The old adage of friends and family are lame, don't bring them to your show. We disagree with that. The main thing is they're the people that are going to want to spread the word of mouth promotion for you. They're the ones that are going to want to bring friends. They're the ones that are going to care enough to help you bring more people to your show. The second tip was tell a friend network. This was the best thing my band ever found out, which we had 20 close family and friends. What I started realizing is they each have 20 or 50 or 80 friends and family as well. So the tell a friend network is basically utilizing your existing personal relationships and letting them know it helps you if they bring friends. And that's how you expand your network. I mean, you don't want to sell tickets to the same 20 people all the time, every time. You want to, as quickly as you can, get them to bring 3 friends and get those 3 friends to bring their friends. And within 1 or 2 shows, you're in a world where you don't even know a lot of people in your fan base because they're a friend of a friend.
Absolutely. And that leads us to the third thing that we talked about last week, which is the divide and conquer tactic. Probably one of the most successful and easiest to implement. If you got multiple people in your group, in your band, in your entourage, split up the ticket sales duties. So if you want to sell 20 tickets, you got 5 guys in your band, 5 girls in your band, five people in your entourage, whatever it is. That's 4 pairs of tickets. Did I do the math right?
2 pairs. That's 4 total tickets per member, and everyone likes to go to a show with somebody, right? So when we say a pair of tickets, guys, what we mean is the one person you're going to sell tickets to, sell them to, because they're not going to want to drive to your show all by themselves.
Absolutely. So this all leads us to our point this week, which is the continuation of the new tips. Social media. Social media has changed the game when it comes to promotion, when it comes to getting the word out, when it comes to communicating. There is no more important tool that exists that's free. That's the best thing about social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is, utilize it. I mean, Facebook changed my band's entire trajectory without spending $1. Learning how it works, learning the little tricks, learning the things that it can do. There's a ton of tools in Facebook alone, and there's little things that you should know about Facebook versus Twitter versus Instagram that we'll kind of go over that I've learned about, as a social media guy. I've ran social media for companies for many years, all the way back to Friendster. So I watched the rise and fall of MySpace. I remember the day I started a Facebook account and thinking, like, why am I redoing this? I have a MySpace page. I don't need Facebook. It's hilarious when you look at it now, but back then it was like, I don't need this. But here we are, 2019, and we're looking at a whole new world of opportunity that the internet has given us. And I don't care what kind of music you play or what you do online, social media, and whether or not you like social media. There are many a day that I have gone where I'm like, I hate Facebook. I can't stand it anymore. I can't look at it. It drives me insane. But it's kind of a necessary evil, but it's also an unbelievable tool that can help your band succeed in all kinds of ways.
Now, with that said, guys, I got to say something. Facebook's awesome. Twitter's awesome for promoting, but please don't fall into the trap of only relying on social media. So social media is one tool for you to promote your shows effectively. And what I mean by that is I see a lot of artists we work with that are like, I'm struggling with ticket sales. No one's coming to my show. I've gotten 50 likes on Facebook, but no one's bought a ticket. And here's why. Social media is great for engagement and notification, right? It's almost like buying lottery tickets, right? Not every lottery ticket's going to be a winner, and social media is the same way. It's a soft touch to basically be like, hey, Carl, I got this show. As you scroll through your feed, now you're distracted and you forgot about it, but at least you saw it. So where it really comes in here, along with your social media, is the face-to-face interaction, is the actual direct messages are way more effective than a post. So be thinking that social media is almost like your foundation of promotion. It's not going to magically sell a bunch of tickets necessarily. Sometimes it will if your fan base is big enough. But think of it as a foundation that's going to be your starting point that's always running and helping you, right? But then on top of that foundation, what are you going to have? You're going to have the face-to-face interaction. You're going to text message people directly and personally. You're going to email them. You're going to direct message them on Facebook. All of those things combined is what's going to make people finally pull the trigger and buy a ticket and decide to spend their Saturday or Thursday evening driving to a venue to see you play. And I think that's important because social media has billions of dollars going in from mega corporations that are trying to get those eyeballs and the attention of your fans. So, social media is great. Definitely use it. It's a tool and the foundation of what you're going to do. But please don't fall into the trap of, I ran a $20 ad on Facebook and I expect to sell 1,000 tickets.
Right. It's not the end all be all by any means. And with that being said, some of the things to kind of keep an eye out for, especially on Facebook. So the first thing, you got to have a band or an artist page, not just a personal page, which does help, but you got to have a band or an artist page. You got to have some cool pics up there. If you don't have any pictures up there, you got to get some up there. If you don't have any pictures of your band or yourself, if you're just a single artist or a rapper, you need to have somebody take a picture with your cell phone, something. You need to have some kind of, who you are, like if you have a website, make sure it's linked up. Make sure you're using all of the things on the page that you can use. You can build events. So if you have a show, make an event page with the show. Have the map, have the ticket link, have information about the show. All of that stuff is crucial.
So here's the best part about making an event. People are going to say, yes, I'm coming. No, I'm coming. Maybe I'm coming. You can't count on that. All right.
No.
Until they buy it.
And don't judge your fans when they say yes and don't come.
Right. Until they buy a ticket, until they paid money in advance,
they're not coming.
Right. They're not
Assume
coming.
They're not coming.
Yeah. So here's what I think is a great tool with the events. I know who's coming as a yes, who's a maybe, who's a no. Those are all powerful tools. Right. Here's the first one. The no's, right? Your best friend can't make it. So what do? You direct message him and say, man, I'm bummed you can't make the show. I would have loved to see you in the crowd. Do you have any friends that are in town since you can't make it this night that can maybe help me out?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the 20 no's might turn into some ticket sales. Because guess what, guys?
Right.
Your friends want to help you. You just have to ask them. The second thing is the maybes, right? The maybes are the guys that are flaky. These are the guys that are
I'm a maybe guy. I say maybe to everything.
Right. Maybe unless something comes up that's better, which is not a good situation. So what I like to do on the maybes is
because what's better is almost always Netflix. Let's be honest. Most people will say, yes, they're coming to your show only to realize they haven't watched Bird Box yet. You know what I mean?
That's true. That was a creepy movie, by the way.
It's terrible.
So the maybes are really important because what I like to do on the maybes is basically make them give me an answer. I say, hey, Carl, I saw you're a maybe for my show. I would love to have you come out and play, but I kind of need to get a head count because my goal as a rap group for this show is 50 people, right? That's our goal. That's going to be the biggest crowd we've ever drawn. So here's the deal. If you can't come, it's not a problem. Can you let me know? Okay, that's the key, guys.
Yep.
You don't want to have 100 maybes let you down. You don't want to be the band or the rapper, and I've seen this and I've been this person that sits at the door biting their fingernails and wringing their hands because 100 people promised they'd come. And guess what, guys? 4 came.
Right.
And you feel horrible and you feel like a loser, and now you have to get on stage. I don't want you to have that feeling. So on the maybes, what I like to do is just make very clear. It helps me if you're a no to tell me. And then if you say no, what are you going to do? You're going to say, can you bring some friends?
Right.
And if you say yes, then go buy a ticket. Here's my promo code discount. Here's the online ticket URL. Or next time I see you, I'll sell you a physical ticket.
Totally.
So then the yeses. How do we see the yeses, Carl? Are the yeses coming?
If they have a ticket, they are.
Right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to every time. Because even if they say yes, that doesn't mean anything. It's an empty promise that they've said yes in a box on the computer screen. It's so easy to tap that yes and just move on and forget about it. Which leads me to my point about using the Facebook and the events. Interaction is the number one key to Facebook. The algorithm is based upon interaction. So if you post something, and you can try this right now, get on your Facebook, on your phone, on your computer, whatever it is, do it tonight. Do it right now if you want to. Maybe you're on the train going back to your house or going to work or whatever you're listening to this. Try this. Post something on your Facebook, just your personal page, and do nothing, and see how many likes it gets. And then post something else and start engaging with anyone that comments. What happens is Facebook recognizes that interaction and it pushes it up to the top of the feed. And so when you interact with people on Facebook, now Twitter operates a little bit differently, Instagram operates a little bit differently, but Facebook wants you to interact. And so if you see a comment on a Facebook post, on your event, on your band page or your personal page, and you like it, just liking it is interaction. But if you comment, then that pushes it up for everybody that sees that post. And so the more you engage, the better off you are, because it keeps pushing that top of mind awareness. And that's a free advertisement. Every single time someone sees that, keep that in mind. Every single time someone sees your band, sees your show, sees the comments, whatever it is, and you can be crazy, you can be wild, you can be mean if you want to, if that's your shtick. Whatever it is, interact. And that goes for events, your personal page, your band page, all of the above. The more you engage, the more people see it. So that's something you got to know about Facebook, is that algorithm wants you to interact. And the other thing is, it wants you to interact in a certain way, which leads me to my second algorithm tweak, my hack, if you will. If you overpost. So Facebook wants you to interact, but it doesn't want you to spam. And what I mean by spam is, if I post 7 things in one day on my Facebook page, whether it's my band, my business, my own personal, whatever, that first post that I do gets the most interaction. And then what happens is the algorithm of Facebook starts to crush the rest of it and pushes it down, because it sees me as spamming, if you will. And so what I try to do on Facebook is, the first post that you do that day should be as early as you can do it. Maybe not 5 in the morning, maybe 9 in the morning, because it gives the whole day time for that post to gain engagement in the way that Facebook likes. It doesn't like engagement when it's just a one-sided thing where I keep posting. If I just, have a one-sentence comment and then post a YouTube video, and then if I post 10 YouTube videos on Facebook, no one sees any of them, because Facebook sees it as spam, and it just pushes you down, or it just takes you out of the feed entirely. It wants to see like what it considers quote-unquote organic engagement. So don't overpost on Facebook. And in fact, the best mechanism that I have found across the board, if you post once a day on Facebook, but change the times a day, you can even schedule these out and change the verbiage and the type of post. So maybe one day you just post a comment, the next day you post a YouTube link, the next day you post a picture, the next day, you shake it up, and you change the times a day when you do it. So you're not always doing it at 9 o'clock. You do it at 10 o'clock one day, you do it at 8 o'clock another day, maybe you wait till later in the afternoon, noon. You're basically keeping it variable on Facebook. That's what it wants. That will give you the most reach you can do. And that's something that I've encountered by doing social media as long as I have, and maximizing reach for companies and businesses throughout my career. So bands, rappers, if you want to use Facebook, those are some just crazy little tips.
So here's one thing to note, guys, about flyers and posters, all right? So if there's no personal connection to the person seeing the flyer or poster, it's probably not going to do much for you. So there's kind of two ways that I approach this. One is putting up flyers and posters is a good promotional base, a foundation that you should do for every show. But if someone sees that has no idea who your band is or who your rap group is, it doesn't do much. They're not going to go buy a ticket. It will help a little bit on name exposure. Maybe next time they see you or talk to you, they'll be like, I've heard of you before. But you got to remember, the big thing on posters is giving them out to people one-on-one, face-to-face interaction. If it's a stranger, you're going to have to hand that handbill to them and have a 2-minute conversation explaining who you are, what you do, and make them actually leave the situation knowing my name is Ryan and thinking I'm cool enough to check out my music. So here's the second and most powerful way to use flyers and posters, and that is giving them to the fans and friends you see in an everyday interaction, right? Your coworkers,
Totally.
People you know when you hang out, when you go out partying, when you go out wherever you're going, right? So not only is it good to have tickets on you at all times so you can make that actual physical sale, but the poster and the flyer is a nice reminder. Sometimes I used to tell my friends, hey man, here's 10 handbills. Will you give these out the next time you go to work, the next time you go to school, whatever. So you got to remember, every time you meet someone face to face that you know and you have a show, you need to have tickets on you to sell them that ticket right then and there. And you also need to have handbills or posters to give to them so they can take them and start promoting for you. So really big danger, guys, here. You don't want to just say, hey, I put up 1,000 posters all over town for my band Faded and no one came to my show. Well, if you're Tech Nine or your Coldplay or your whoever is playing
Right.
stadiums, that works. You got to remember, someone walking by your poster is not going to buy a ticket unless they already know who you are.
Exactly.
So next is Twitter. So obviously you want to tweet your followers, and you don't want to forget to include your online ticket link and any promo discount codes.
Totally.
So a lot of times I see artists saying, hey, I've been promoting the show a lot. I go to their Twitter feed and they're basically just saying, I'm playing at the Hawthorne Theater, come see me. You know,
Right.
You want to have the date, you want to have the online ticket link, and you want to give them a reason to buy. So, here's my link. If you buy in the next week, I'll give you a free song, a free piece of merch, something like that. Make sure there's an actionable item in your tweets.
Yes.
And people will be more likely to actually do something.
Yeah, and on that front, use different times of the day that you tweet to kind of maximize your reach. If you're always posting at 11 o'clock in the morning, don't do that. Do it, 11 o'clock one day, do 9 o'clock one day, do 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next time. Hit up night audiences. People check in at Twitter at different times of the day. And the thing about Twitter that's kind of handy is it's really easy to network. You can hashtag, you can tag them, right? Put that little @ sign in front of, somebody's handle, right? And they'll see that. They're instantaneously alerted that that's happening. And the hashtags are pretty important because, look at some of the hashtags that are trending. If you can get it at a trending hashtag, if you can create a trending hashtag, which is really difficult, but it does amazing things. A lot of people start to participate and start to, see it. So, you can even jump onto a hashtag that's trending if it makes sense to your band and use that as a way to kind of reach more people.
All right, so the next one is giveaways and incentives. So this is something that is totally underutilized from what I see in our local scenes. And there's two ways you can go about it. What my band used to do is we used to say to ourselves, if I can get Carl to come to my show and bring 3 of his friends that have never seen my act perform, that is like gold.
Yeah.
What is that worth to me to get 3 new friends at my show, 3 ticket sales in addition to what I'm already doing, and then I have the chance to impress them and tap into their personal network. So we decided that had a pretty high value on it. So we used to do some crazy stuff, and you can go all the way down to things that don't cost you any money, like experiences, which I'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
But what we used to do is we'd actually used to say, hey, if you bring 5 friends to my show who's never seen me play before, I'll actually reimburse you for admission, and I'll buy you a beer, and I will give you our free CD, and I will give all your friends a free CD. And, you kind of got to work out the math there. But what would happen is people would come, we'd give them $30 worth of stuff. They'd bring 5, 6, 7 friends. And now I get all of their friends on the mailing list and show them, hey, Carl just got all this stuff and I'm giving him money back to reimburse him for his admission. And if you 6 do this next time, you get this stuff as well. And so it's really cool because then, it's kind of like a testimonial of like, this band is awesome. If I just bring friends, then I get a bunch of cool stuff. If you don't have the budget for that stuff, you can always do things that don't cost a lot of money. Buttons and stickers are really cheap for you. If you give someone a free CD, it doesn't cost you much, especially if you give them a burned CD or you just send them a digital download. How about some experiences? What kind of other incentives, doesn't cost the artist money that fans love?
Yeah, some of the things that you could do that, I've kind of taken some advice from Kickstarter, which is a great place to kind of get ideas from. If you jump on Kickstarter and kind of look at some of the campaigns on there to get ideas about how to incentivize people to basically give you money, because that's what Kickstarter is. They're you start a Kickstarter page and you're asking people to give you money, which is, kind of crazy when you think about it, because most of the time with Kickstarter, it's for some kind of artistic, project. It's a movie, it's an album, it's something that doesn't necessarily give anyone else anything other than the fact that if it gets made, maybe I'll go check out that album or maybe I'll watch that movie. But like Kickstarter, you'll notice that the type of stuff that is involved, they have like a tiered system usually, where it's like, if you give $5, we'll do like something kind of silly and easy and dumb, all the way up to like, if you give us 20 grand, we'll fly you out to the movie premiere. You can do all kinds of stuff, but the concepts are really awesome, and you can implement that with your band, so or your group. So if you're doing band practices on a regular basis, you can give away that experience where you're like, look, you buy a pair of tickets or 2 pairs of tickets, whatever deal you want to make. You can come to the next band practice. You can come to our rehearsal. You can come to the studio when we're recording an album. Those are things that don't cost you a dime, and it's a thing that the listener, the audience, the fan will love because it's something they can't get. And I tell you what, there are more people out there in your fan base that would be blown away by sitting in a studio watching you record something, and just learning the process, because most people have no idea how music is recorded, right?
That's true, yeah.
And I remember the first time I was ever in a radio station or at a recording studio, and I've been in home studios all the way up to like really massive, high-end recording studios for the big labels, and it's amazing, to sit behind that board in that room and look out into the live booth and see like a drum set or the mic where some legendary artist has recorded their music. And, for the average person, you'll never get that experience ever. But for you, it might be commonplace. Maybe you have your own studio. Maybe you have your own home studio that you could invite people over. Now, obviously, you want to kind of be careful with that. You don't want to invite some crazy person into your house and, have them know where you live. You want to be, a little bit cautious with that. But the point is, you can give away experiences that you don't have to pay for, that are actually more valuable than any CD you could give somebody, any sticker you could hand them, and it would make them more likely to become a fan of your music, become a fan of your band, become a fan of the things that you're doing. And yes, they would love to see your live show. And with that, now they know, if you give them that deal where you're like, hey, we're going to give away, you can do it so that you do it as a contest, right? So it's not everybody that gets it, but everybody who buys tickets is entered in a drawing. And, we're talking maybe 20 people, 50 people. It's not hard to make a drawing. You can write 50 names on a sheet of paper, rip it up, throw it in a hat and pull some name out, and that's the winner. And then you send them a message on Facebook or email or whatever it is. And depending on how you do it, you can also build an email database. You can even have a setup where you're an enter to win situation on your own website where you don't have to do anything more than collect that information. And you can also set it up so that you're selling tickets that way as well. So, the experience giveaway is really one of the coolest things you could do that, most people don't even think about.
Another thing we used to do is we used to have after parties, right? Like an after party hangout. We either move to someone's house, do a house party, we might get a keg, or we just say, hey, we're going to go down the street to a bar and only these 12 fans that are our super fans are going to, come along. Another couple ideas, guys, is be creative. It's like have all your members sit down and just write the craziest ideas, any idea of what incentives you can give fans. We used to give shout outs on stage. Our fans loved it. Be like, hey, Carl is right there. He's been coming to our shows for years. He brought 3 friends and he is helping our career. and that kind of recognition was a good help. We used to sign set lists and give them a signed set list, a signed drumstick, things like that. So there are so many incentives that you can think of that your fans will like. And what ended up happening, guys, is I had fans that would bring 5 people every show. I don't know how they knew all these people, but every show there was 5 new people. And it got to a point where I was like, I've given you every merch piece I have. I bought you drinks. And he finally goes, dude, Ryan, I started doing this a long time ago, like 5 shows ago, just because I saw how excited it made you. So,
Nice.
So like the incentives are kind of to get your fans moving, but they really find out quickly, like they are making an impact. Like when your fan comes to the 3rd show and now they see 60 people are there for you and they see their friends bringing friends, that's when you kind of develop this community aspect of, and don't be afraid to ask friends and family and people to help you, right? I mean,
Right.
Just like Kickstarter, people now are used to this. Like 15 years ago, people might be a little like, well, I'm supposed to support you. That's odd. I kind of feel weirded out. But now it's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, I just like bought this retractable straw thing on Kickstarter and I'm used to supporting artists and new startups.
Yeah. So one of the things that my old band did that was something I'd never seen before. So on our album, when we were recording it, we had parts of the songs where we'd have gang chants. We needed a lot of people to really make that happen. Now, we could have made it happen in the studio with just 2 people, really. You just keep layering it. And that's really what we did. But here's how we did it. We invited our friends, our fans, and bands that we played with to participate in those parts. And then we had another song that we called Blackout Party. And it was the end of the album, and we needed party sounds. We wanted to put these party parts throughout the song. And so everybody participated, and it was kind of hilarious when we would bring people in. We had about 40 people on the album, and we credited everybody. Everybody got a name credit. Everybody was listed in the album liners, and all of those people are still huge fans of the band, and we haven't been a band in 8 years. And what's crazy about it is I still get messages from some of those people, hey, I was listening to the album, and I still love the fact that I got to be on there, and that's a crazy thing that person will have for the rest of their lives. And again, it's experience. It didn't cost us a dime. I mean, we were already in the studio. We were already cutting the album. We were already doing those things. You can have things, maybe you want to cut a little segue between 2 songs. How many rap albums have segues? A ton of them. Have an intro. You can have people participate in that. You can write out little skits. We had people, like, we wrote the lyrics to the things that people were going to sing or scream in our case, or just like, okay, pretend you're at a party, say the things you would say at a party. And it was completely unscripted and crazy. And I tell you what, it was the coolest thing. So when that album came out, everybody was dying to get their hands on it because they were going to be on it. And they hadn't heard it until it came out.
Your key is to get the people coming to your shows to bring friends, to tap into their personal network. It's like you're kind of piggybacking on every layer of person that knows the people you know. And hey, what we'd like to hear from you guys is, what kind of incentives are you guys using? What kind of incentives have you thought about that you think our artists would like? Email us at podcast@myafton.com. If you got some good ones, we'll read them off on the next podcast and kind of share those with everyone else. But I can't drive this point home enough. Incentives and getting people to bring friends is the most crucial aspect to your show promotion.
And believe that you can succeed, and that is the basis for all of this. Make sure to check back to myafton.com each week for another episode with more advice and tips for you, the musician and artist trying to make your way through the music industry. Next week, we're going to get into another aspect of ticket sales and share some advice on how to overcome some of the most common objections you hear from fans on why they aren't buying tickets, including the most notorious excuse, I'll buy tickets at the door. Here's a hint, they won't. Our tried and true advice on overcoming that next time. Until then, keep it loud and proud. I'm Carl.
And I'm Ryan.
And take care.